For anyone who keeps up with UFC, then you'll know who Dustin the Diamond Poirier is. Poirier is the second highest ranking fighter in the lightweight category and 11th in the pound-for-pound category. The Diamond has gone 18-6 in all his matches and has never lost 2 fights in a row. Despite having a handful of losses under his belt, Poirier is a monster in the ring, but he's human just like the rest of us. For today's script, we'll be talking about interesting and even shocking facts about Dustin Poirier, such as where did he get his start. Dustin Poirier is human just like the rest of us, which is why he recently opened up to Us Weekly with 25 facts about his career, family, and his biggest celebrity crush. Poirier is a Louisiana native who was a high school dropout turned professional athlete. After a series of school fights, Poirier decided to leave school, but in 2009, he turned his high school fight experience into something professional, leading him to join the UFC. He compiled a 7-0 record in his rookie year. 10 years later, the Diamond became the interim UFC lightweight champion, telling Us Weekly that it was his proudest moment. Currently, Dustin Poirier holds the 2nd overall ranking in the UFC lightweight category, but his career isn't all Poirier came to Us Weekly to talk about. Poirier, listing off facts about himself, told Us Weekly that the closest thing to a celebrity he had a crush on while growing up was actress and model Pamela Anderson. However, his biggest and most overwhelming starstruck moment was when he met the legend Mike Tyson. The martial arts expert went on to say that, funnily enough, he went on to bite Michael Chandler the night he met Mike Tyson, referring back to Tyson's infamous incident in 1997 after he bit his opponent's ear. The UFC fighter told reporters that the best way for him to fuel up before his next fight is with New Orleans cuisine. Additionally, Poirier has his own line of Louisiana-style hot sauce, which was created in collaboration with Heartbeat Hot Sauce, paying homage to his Louisiana hometown, Lafayette. The #1 food Poirier recommends his fans to try his hot sauce line with are eggs. Dustin raved to Us Weekly about his love for Cajun food, saying it's his favorite thing to prepare, but his cheat meal, on the other hand, is a burger with onion rings. While Poirier fuels up before a fight on Cajun cuisine, how does he mentally prepare? Dustin told Us Weekly that there are many ways he mentally prepares, one of them being to imagine the different ways the fight could unfold in the octagon. He does this over and over until it's time for the real fight. If you've ever wondered about Poirier's home life, you'll be happy to know Dustin is married to his childhood sweetheart, Jolie Poirier, and together they have a 6-year-old daughter named Parker Poirier. Parker, as Dustin says, is his main priority in life, making the remark to Us Weekly that he loves being a girl dad. One thing you may not know is that he and his wife Jolie together created the Good Fight Foundation, a non-profit charity. The creation of his charity was a way to raise money for communities in Louisiana that are underdeveloped. As a way to raise money, apart from donations, Poirier and his wife auction off memorabilia from Dustin's career. Obviously, his wife and daughter mean a lot to the fighter, which is why Dustin chooses to spend time with his wife and daughter as a way to decompress when he isn't readying for a fight or training. Nothing like a little bit of home time to get your head right. Not only does his family mean the world to him, but so does his home state. So while this may not come to shock fans, the UFC fighter's favorite city to visit when he's not fighting is New Orleans. Poirier's legacy is quickly growing, becoming something that would be legendary status. Poirier is known greatly for his career fighting and where he currently stands, but when he's not spending time with the family or fueling up to fight, Dustin is putting the rest of his energy into his charity. The reason behind the Good Fight Foundation, as quoted by Dustin, is, "I am a fighter. It's what I do now. Now I want to fight the good fight for those who can't." The platform acts as the middle ground in which other athletes and fans can come together to do some good in a world of bad. The Louisiana native reported to Us Weekly that the most rewarding thing about my charity, the Good Fight Foundation, is knowing that we're really making a difference and giving people a reason to cheer and smile. As a part of his efforts, over 3,000 meals were provided to the Second Harvest Book Bank during the foundation's first auction back in 2018. Since then, the charity has raised money for children's cancer research, school supplies drives, and children's car seat drives. A few other interesting facts about the Diamond is that the #1 phrase he hears from his fans on the streets is to stay hydrated. His first car was a 1978 Oldsmobile Cutlass, which was the first fully automatic vehicle on the mass market, while his first job was cutting grass. I applaud the hard work he put into cutting grass during those hot, humid Louisiana summers. The fighter's favorite items in his wardrobe are his colorful Robert Graham t-shirts, and his favorite room in his home is, of course, the kitchen. Knowing what we know now about Dustin Poirier, it should come as no shock to anyone that his favorite room in his home is the kitchen. I would imagine that Poirier spends a considerable amount of time cooking and whipping up some delicious Cajun meals for his family. A question often asked by reporters is, does the successful UFC fighter have any advice for new or up-and-coming fighters? He said that consistency and accountability is the key to being successful, but that's not all. Poirier heavily recommends having a team and building loyal relationships. When speaking to Muscle and Fitness, an online health publication, he speaks more on the matter, saying, "MMA is one of the world's toughest sports. and every fight can be brutal on your body, Poirier says. That's why recovery is so important. Having a solid routine is really the only way to bounce back faster and stronger. Among the rest of his recommendations and tips, Poirier also advises to never be complacent, saying that complacency is losing, according to his interview with Muscle and Fitness. Reporters of Us Weekly, following his question about advice, are who was Dustin's dream opponent? The fighter said he would have loved to have been able to fight former UFC fighter BJ Penn while he was in his prime. BJ Penn finished his career with a win-loss record of 16, 14, and 2, but was unfortunately released from UFC after he was knocked out during a bar brawl. The Diamond's career is regularly spoken about in the UFC world and communities, many citing the April 13, 2019 fight. During the April 13th fight, Poirier faced off with Max Holloway, a UFC featherweight champion, for the interim UFC lightweight championship, and won. Poirier considers this his proudest moment of his entire career. Two of perhaps the most humble and popular UFC fighters have knocked heads with each other twice before, the first time being at UFC 143. UFC 236, however, is where Poirier's proudest moments took place. To avenge his previous loss to Poirier, Holloway had a point to prove during UFC 236, but it didn't quite work out that way during the 5-round bout. Poirier landed much harder and faster strikes than Holloway could. However, despite the unanimous vote for Poirier, Holloway took the loss well, even taking off his gloves and giving them to his opponent as a token of respect. Oddly, and perhaps funnily enough, Dustin's most famous phone number in his contacts list is the comedian Kevin James. This may come as a shock for those who aren't familiar with the comedian. Reportedly, Kevin James is one of the biggest fans of the fastest-growing fighting sport, often spotted ringside. James is so much of a fan that he even decided to make a major motion picture about it in 2012 called Here Comes the Boom. Having Kevin James' phone number in Poirier's contact list might make a little sense considering his favorite movie is the 1998 crime comedy The Big Lebowski, starring Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, and Steve Buscemi. Coffee isn't for everyone. Whether it be the taste or the sheer wait time for the coffee to brew and cool enough to be drunk, Poirier is one of many who choose to start his day off with an energy drink instead. Specifically, he chooses to drink a Celsius rather than coffee. The fighter finds it far easier to grab an energy drink right from the fridge before hitting the road, and additionally, it's a great pre-workout drink. It comes as no surprise to fans that Dustin has tattoos, and a lot of them, but did you know the fighter has a total number of 27 tattoos over the span of his body? While that may seem like a lot, he does plan to get more in the future. Each tattoo on Poirier's body has a meaning behind it, such as the tattoos on his hands. Poirier spoke to Sports Manor, explaining that on his right hand he has Inspire and Faith, while on his left hand he has a fleur-de-lis, a French symbol for royalty, because the fighter is of French descent. Just like the rest of us, Dustin Poirier gambled a lot of his chips starting his UFC career, but he, like many others, had a plan B. Dustin revealed to Us Weekly that if he hadn't succeeded with his UFC career, his next choice of profession would have been to be a chef, which makes sense for Poirier because of his love for Cajun cuisine and his love for the kitchen. From jambalaya to gumbo, the UFC fighter loves anything and everything Cajun. Perhaps one day he'll add to his growing legacy and open a kitchen. That's all the time we have for today, folks. Let us know in the comments down below what your favorite fact about Dustin Poirier is, and as always, stay safe out there and be kind and humble too.